You never know which Los Pumas team is going to turn up, but the clinical, passionate, and inconsistent side from last week against Japan showed up again as they knocked Wales out of the Rugby World Cup. Having never beaten Wales at a World Cup before, Argentina will now feature in the semi-finals for the first time since 2015. While Los Pumas can be very pleased with their result, Wales can be too. Despite the final score, they can be very proud of their efforts considering all of the off-field and on-field issues they suffered over the last 4 years. Kia ora guys and welcome back to the Black Jersey. My name's Max and it is quarterfinal number 2, time to discuss that. Wales and Argentina had a bit of a crazy game. It was so crazy that even the referee had to come off getting injured. There were 21 handling errors in the first 78 minutes, and so yes, consistency, not a major thing, but I think there are a few things we can definitely take out of this game to show how far Wales have come in just a few months under Warren Gatland's return. And of course, Argentina, what can we get out of them ahead of the quarterfinal where they'll face the All Blacks? Let's find out in today's video, guys. We'll find out how they got the upset, and let's get into this. As a Kiwi, the first try scored by Wales excites me a little bit. Wales have predetermined who enters the ruck that used to be on the Red Cross. That's why Gareth Thomas, Tommy Reffell and George North are the closest Welsh players to Rhys Zammit on the wing. I'm a big Gatland fan, but I won't shy away from the Welsh attack formation being bad either. We can clearly establish a hands down the line blue axis off Davis's pass to Wainwright, while I'll also spotlight Issa and Chocobares, who are the two players marking Wainwright. Although Wainwright has Rollins as his lone ruck clearance option as we animate his intent to run between the shoulders of the two defenders, we need to realise that Issa and Chocobares are the two players who were at the previous ruck. The close-up shot now shows us that Lavanini, currently marking Beard, is the only Pumas defender who can guard the fringes of the ruck, because Lavanini needs to remain in place to avoid an intercept from Davis, who Belly now needs to shift into mark Beard as the animation shows us, so that Lavanini can fill the massive gap between himself and the next man in the line. As we now make a return to the wide shot, we can see the Pumas defense sliding towards the open side, even though they're pretty well covered and can easily defend against this pretty one-dimensional flat pod shape. The reason that North and Reffell got sent into the previous ruck, as we discussed, is that North can wrap arounds to take an inside ball, as we demonstrated with a new animation. If North gets tackled on the green cross, Reffell can also rotate arounds to clean out, as the other pod who we've got static is too far away. Although Issa tackles North, the space is now open for Davis and Biggar to take the offload and break the line. A pretty easy 2-on-1 that we can see on 13:51 creates the opening try, as well as a few theories I've got for the All Blacks next week. Los Pumas' tackle ratio, as we'll find out for the first half of this game, was not flash at all. It wasn't very good, and with Geordie Barrett, Anton Leonard-Brown, David Havili, Caleb Clark, Mark Talia, Rico Ioane, Lester Faianga-Anuku, plenty of guys like that in the All Blacks backline who aren't afraid of the contact despite their variances in sizes, there are going to be a fair few opportunities around the fringes of the breakdown if the All Blacks can get Los Pumas to try to organise their defence a bit too quickly. There was a lot of expansive rugby in this first half that Los Pumas really showed this era happening over and over again in, hence why Wales were able to get a few more line breaks other than the one we showed. The game though, a bit of inconsistency. There were a few similar incidences like this where Los Pumas couldn't capitalise off a similar thing for Wales and the referee replacement. As I said at the start of the video, that definitely didn't help with the inconsistency of anything like that. It was a very, very tense game in the first half, but now that we've finally reached the halftime hooter, Los Pumas finally remember that the game is on. They've got a very nice structure, reminiscent of a few I saw against Japan where both Lucio Cinti and Santiago Carreras can wrap around to extend the hands down the line past Nick Tompkins' reach. As we remove the animation from view, Argentina look unlikely to get the ball as far as Boffelli, as all 3 of the initial players are marked, but the wraparound, that will change it all, leaving 3 unmarked players. Carreras goes on to break the line, but as we see here, he knocks the ball on while tackled by Williams. But then this happens. Josh Adams is clearly wrapping both of his arms around Issa, but with the ball over here, it's simply a bad decision and Los Pumas never look back from the penalty goal that follows. Said penalty goal allows Wales to have a halftime lead of 10-6, a bit more healthy than it was initially looking before Adams' wee incident. Argentina though, despite the game being all in Wales' favour, were definitely in control of the flow of it, as we can see with the possession and the territory stats both over 50% in Los Pumas Pumas' favour. A lot of team, as we can see, running plenty of metres, Los Pumas beating 16 defenders and Wales 14. The clean breaks there, as we can see, Wales were taking a bit more of a strategic approach to the first half. They just weren't quite capitalising, leaving the door open for a possible second half comeback for Los Pumas. As we can also see, Wales were probably a bit better at the breakdown, and the tackle ratio, though, that was the key area. That is why Wales were able to succeed with these pre-planned game plans that didn't quite work out all the time. 60%. If Los Pumas approached the All Blacks with 60% as the tackle ratio, that is not going to be very good. I won't read into the goal kicking stats too much, but the ruck success, very good for both teams, definitely redeemed things, definitely helped Argentina recover from a lot of those missed tackles. And the set piece though, Wales did not help themselves. The All Blacks will definitely have a harder task against Los Pumas as they did against Ireland with the line-out, as Los Pumas do have Marcos Kramer as that third lock at 6, though he of course wears 7 on his back because he's Argentinian. The penalty count as well, we can definitely see that was keeping Los Pumas in the game with Wales leading that. If not for the penalties, Argentina would not have any points on the board. Anyway guys, we need to discuss the second half because boy oh boy, stuff gets wild from here. We'll turn our attention to Los Pumas' performance at the breakdown a bit more now that we are indeed discussing the second half. Though they won fewer turnovers in the first half, the ones that they won counted the most. Wales, as we can see here, are attempting to run a play where Biggar passes to a 3-man pod with 3 different options. Lakers Thomas, now numberless, on his inside with Francis on the outside. Anyone that's played in the forwards will be aware of the crash ball line they can run off Lake with 2 clearance options, while Reece Zammit, who is wrapping around from the wing, is approaching a pretty realistic position to get a pass from out the back by both Lake and Thomas. Francis is also the player who follows Lake in a hands down the line, but Los Pumas, who are best friends with inconsistency, are on high alert, hunting in a pack for some dragon meat, so recognise all of the options available. Gonzalez and Kramer both advance at Lake with lightning quick speed before they both tackle him at the same time, with Kramer chopping down low and Gonzalez wrapping around Lake's chest to prevent the offload. Gonzalez is now in a realistic position to re-enter and win the turnover. Ireland in the quarterfinals definitely did not help themselves by refusing to take the 3 several times. The All Blacks with the discipline definitely got out of jail. That definitely helped along the way, though I think the best team did of course win on the day, the All Blacks being the best team of course. Thing is though, with the discipline, we know Argentina are going to take the 3. Emiliano Boffelli, man, King Boff as they call him, he lives for the penalty goals. Argentina will be far more likely to convert bad discipline into points, so that will definitely be a talking point ahead of next week. But me being me, I'm going to keep things as balanced as possible, so now we can see another potential weakness for Los Pumas. The halftime tackle percentage that we went over was rubbish, and Wales took their chances at attacking it beautifully. Alimano, Beru, and Gaijo don't exactly communicate too well here. This animation clearly establishes that Gaijo has the best body position to absolutely smash Liam Williams, but the other Williams, Tomos, is slightly in front of him. Tomos Williams can't be penalised for an obstruction because Bello and Alimano are both in a realistic position to tackle Liam Williams. Although Bello and Alimano don't exactly have the best position, the fact that they're both present should bring the attacker down. Gaijo, however, comes in to help with the tackle by making the shot on Williams' chest. The ruck entry pretty much immediately ends due to Rowlands losing his footing, and as we can see, Tomos Williams now has his hands on the ball. We'll cut to the wide shot and see that because Gaijo hasn't communicated with the other defenders, he hasn't shifted far enough to his right to fill the gap in the defence line. There's at least 6 metres between himself and Montoya, while Wales have 3 backs on the open side to be marked, which allows for Williams to get a gap to exploit. As he detaches from the ruck, Biggar comes in to create a 2-on-1 as Bruni is simply too slow to turn around and save the try. We'll now go back to the things that Los Pumas did do well, and boy oh boy, closing out a tight game has to be one of the things they did well. They have now closed out a tight game against Japan and Wales twice in a row. This try over here is pretty simple to be honest guys. Domachowski and Rowlands aren't low enough on 67-12, or Sclavi, who picks the ball up here, is very low. He's able to drive forward and score. After a massive try-saving tackle by Matthias Moroni on Louis Reece Zammit, there's one thing left for Los Pumas to do. We'll show a still of 76-18, and we can all see what Wales are trying to do. Costello is catching the ball and has a hands down the line available on the open side. Dyer is also looking to slot into this space late, so Tompkins has an extra player between himself and North. This time, however, The play is a bit too obvious. If we compare the Welsh iteration to the Argentine version from the halftime whistle, because the Argentine wraparound has a scrum further towards the centre of the field's latitude, they're able to hide their extra strike runners much more effectively. Wales, on the other hand, closer to the touchline than halfway, meaning it just simply isn't realistic to hide players other than Dyer on the blind side. The massive gap between Tompkins and North now becomes very apparent, with a certain tattooed fly half noticing in seconds. They say that rugby is a young man's game, but the experienced players in the game who are still surviving, man, they quite simply just possess insights that you cannot coach. Just 60 players out of about 600 or so at the 2023 Rugby World Cup were born in the 1980s. Point is though, youth and experience needs to be blended together hugely in teams. And by having the experienced players on the bench, Los Pumas guaranteed they would have the personnel on the right place at the right time to just close the game out, whereas Dan Biggar coming off Sam Costello, who's not really played too much of Test rugby, this will definitely be a huge lesson for the likes of Costello and Dyer further down the line. Costello is a young man who simply just doesn't see stuff as quickly as Sanchez because, well, stuff like that you cannot coach, it's just earned over time. And because Tompkins is just simply too close to Costello to take a pass on 76-19, there is only a single direction for the ball to travel. Dyer isn't in a realistic position to catch, and so Tomos Williams, having tracked around, he is the only player who can possibly take the pass. Sanchez grasps it as he does the oxygen from my lungs as all 102 tests for him cross the try line to put the scoreline out of reach. With one final kicker goal kicking the penalty goal, Sanchez makes the final score for Los Pumas 29-17 against Wales. Wales, though they lost, they can be incredibly proud of what they've achieved under Gatland's return. You know, since Wayne Pevac left, things have just been going up and up and up for Wales. Around the time that a lot of the players were retiring, I thought, you know, they might not even, you know, make it to third place in the pool. Some people were going as far as saying Wales were going to lose to Portugal, but they fought for this here, and they really earns their right to have a movie made about them. Anyway, the full-time stats. Wales were again dominating the attack, but Los Pumas were in control of the possession again. The attack stats will also show us that Los Pumas really turned up to the breakdown. The mentality in Los Pumas, I said, has been inconsistent, but it was consistent, it was stable, it was in a great flow at the right time. With 7 turnovers won compared to 3, they were shutting down all those meters that the Welsh were able to run, really just taking it to them, getting the good opportunities. Los Pumas also improved their tackle ratio a lot, up to 78% from 60, so that's not too bad. Definitely has to come up to at least 85 to face the All Blacks though. Wales, very good defence as well. Defence usually wins games, but just micro little moments saw Los Pumas prevail. Of course, the Ruck success for Wales went down as well because Los Pumas are just freakishly better at the breakdown in the second half. They improved so much and continued to just make mincemeat of that line out, and the scrum definitely got worse when Thomas Francis came off for the Welsh as well. And of course, Wales conceded 12 penalties, Los Pumas conceded 7. The discipline this year for Argentina, it's been unreal. You know, Thomas Lavanini, with such a huge reputation for bad discipline, it's been immense to see them grow in this way. So to end off today's video, I just want to say I'm so proud of Wales for the massive improvements they've done. You know, it's not been an easy ride for Welsh fans. They go through a lot of highs and lows, but this emblem over here, I'm happy I updated my jersey and did a bit of a tribute to my Welsh heritage as they really just came back into the forefront during this World Cup. I don't know what people are saying when they say Gatland needs to get sacked, man. Argentina, I wish them a lot of good luck for next week. I'll be wearing my black jersey during the game, but it's going to be one heck of a top contest there, sorry. And speaking of contests, my next video, it is going to be South Africa versus France. What an interesting one. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you for the next video. Cheers for watching from Max.